Welcome back to Mac Talks of Football, and this is the review video for my predictions that I did for match day 8 in the Serie A. There was a couple of really shocking results, and it really affected my prediction. So let's go ahead and talk about them. The first game was Genoa versus Bologna. I went for a 1-all draw between both of these teams. The game ended 2-all draw, so I get the 2 points because the prediction was correct, but the score was not right. I thought it was going to be a draw them because both of them are not really in a good form. Genoa, they are in the relegation zone, and they have not really won a single game. In the last 5 games, they came in this game with three defeats in a row. So I thought it was going to be a tough game for them. Bologna, on the other hand, they've sort of become the draw team of Serie A. This was their 6th draw in the league this season, and they have not really performed to the level that you would have expected from them after last season. And you could see the problem what they are facing in this game as well. They are not really able to finish off the games. They played really good in this game as well. They go ahead and they take the lead 2-0. But in the end, they go and they throw it away. They concede 2 goals in the space of 12 minutes right at the end of the game. And Genoa, they come back and they get the point. And this has been the problem for Bologna this season. 6th draw of the season already, 4 more than any other team. So that just shows you how much of a problem it has been for them, and they really need to rectify it. They have moved up to a 13th place in the league, and it looks 13 look very good, but that they are just 3 points above the relegation zone. So one bad result and they would be right back in in the relegation area. Genoa, on the other hand, they moved up to 18th. They were 19th before the game, so now they are 18th. They are still in the relegation zone, but it is a very tight down there. So they would be really happy that they have stopped that the streak of 3 defeats in a row, and they would hope that they can get better and try to get out of the relegation zone. At the moment, both teams are they were struggling before the game, and they are still struggling. So it will be interesting to see what happens in the next week. The next game was Como versus Parma. I went for a 2-1 win for Como because they have sort of started to perform really well in the league. They brought almost more than 10 to 15 players in the summer. Fabregas brought in a lot of experience and young players, and it took them time, but they have started to gel together and they've started to produce results, and that's why Como are not in the relegation zone. And I thought this was the sort of game that you would have expected them to win and make sure that they get away as far away as possible from the relegation zone, but they were not really able to. I would give a credit to Parma. I think this was one of their best games of the season. They really went at it. It was quite an interesting game, under lights on the Friday night. It is the sort of game that you would want to see late at night. Both teams really going at it. Both the goalkeepers had they were on their toes for the full 90 minutes because both the teams created almost 15 plus chances and really went at it. In the end, I would say it was a fair result, as both the teams got an equal point. And both of them are still very close to the relegation zone. Parma are 17. They're just 1 place above the relegation places and a point above them, so getting that point was important for them. Otherwise they would have been in I think they would have still been in the relegation zone. Como, they are 14th themselves, not that far away, 3 points difference from the relegation zone. So it is very, very tight down at the table, but they would hope that they can get away from them. The way Como are playing, I would assume that it is gonna take them a couple of weeks to get away from the mess that is at the moment in the bottom half of the table. But right now, Como 14th, Parma 17th, and I think it was a fair result. Of course, I don't get any point out of this because neither the result nor the score was right for me. The next game was Milan versus Udinese. Quite a big game because both these teams are fighting to get into those Champions League places, are fighting in a way to get close to those that title picture. So I expected both of them to really go for it, but the way that both these teams are set up, it is very hard to break them down, and I sort of expected that. And in the end, the game sort of went like that. Even though Milan went ahead and they took an early lead, but it was like the chances were very far and few in between between, and even then they were not able to penetrate them. Milan, they went down to 10 minutes, and Udinese had played like they had an advantage or for more than an hour, and unfortunately for them, they were not really able to take anything out of that. They would be really really disappointed that they could have gotten 3 points against a Milan side that were a man down. But credit to Milan, they defended really really good. As I said before, both these teams are really good at defending, but when they were a man down, they still defended like their lives depended on it. And the fact that they had gotten a goal early on, it was in a way, I would say, their day to get something out of that game, and they really deserved it in my opinion in the end, because they defended very very good. They get a huge 3 points in respective of the what has happened in the league. They move up to fourth in those Champions League places, and they are not very far away from Napoli at the top. So a very very a great day, big win for Milan, a great day for them. Udinese on the other hand, as I said, they would be really really disappointed that they couldn't really take advantage of the extra man, and they dropped down to 8th. Moving on to the next game, it was another big one. It was Juventus versus Lazio. I went for a 1-0 away win for Lazio because I'm not really impressed with Juventus. I have been saying this for 3-4 weeks now that Juventus are not really playing good football. They are, they are so boring. They are not really able to create that much, and when they are creating, they are not able to convert them, and that happened in this game as well. And the fact is, Lazio were down to 10 man, and Juventus played majority of that game with with an extra man, but still they were not really able to get the job done. They created a good amount of chances in that game, but they were not really able to convert those chances. Thuram, Mkhitaryan, Dumfries, you can name all of them, and they were still not able to put the ball back in the back of the net. Luckily for them, and unluckily for Lazio, that they won the game courtesy of an own goal. I would say it was really really heartbreaking for Lazio because they defended really good. They in the when the game started, it was quite even, and Lazio were fighting back against Milan, and that is why I thought that Lazio would have that special spark that they could go ahead and they would have gotten the goal. It was going to be a tight game, but when the red card went in, they just had to sit back and they had to defend, and they defended really good, and it was a really heartbreak moment for Lazio to lose in that way. But Juve, they get the win. It's a huge 3 points, but I would say it again that they are not really playing that good. Their position is at the moment not reflecting with the way they are playing, and it showed in the Champions League as well. They lost against Stuttgart, and it was the same thing, that they are not able to create it. Create chances. They are when teams really attack them, they get scared, or they don't really know how to react to them. Thiago Motta really needs to work on that because if it continues, I really don't see them going far in the Champions League, and I really don't see them winning the Serie A title this year because there are much better teams in the league who can surprise them and who can make their lives quite miserable if this continues. But this weekend they got those 3 points, huge points. They stay at number 3rd. Lazio on the other hand, unfortunate to lose a game like that, but they did, and they have dropped down to 7th, but they would hope that they can recover next week and try to come back into the upper half of the table. The next game was Empoli versus Napoli. I went for a 2-0 win for Napoli because Napoli have been in a really good form. They are top of the Serie A, and I expected them to go to Empoli and get the job done. Empoli, because they are really struggling for the last couple of weeks. So I expected quite an easy game for Napoli, but it turned out to be quite a close game, a lot more close than I would have expected. Empoli were really on it. They really made it tough for Napoli, and they created more of the chances as compared to Napoli. But I think this is the mark of a good team. This is the mark of champions, that even when you are not playing good, when your performances are not there, you somehow find a way to get the win, and that's what Napoli did, and they got those 3 important and crucial 3 points that they needed, and with that they came away with a win. They stay at the top of the table. Empoli on the other hand, unfortunately for them, as I say, they were really good. They defended really well, and they frustrated Napoli a lot, and they created chances as well. Napoli, in my opinion, Empoli was the better team in that game, but sometimes luck does not go your way, and Empoli, they lost another game. They have now dropped down to 11th, I think, and now they would start to worry a bit, because the moment you fall down out of those top 10, then problems start to arise, and with how tight the league is going, a couple of bad results, and from being in the top half, you can go directly into that lower part of the lower half of the bottom table. So you don't really want to be there. So Empoli would hope that they can turn things around next week and come back into the top 10. Napoli, on the other hand, they're really happy. Third straight week at the top of the Serie A, and they are now really starting to cement their position. 3 weeks in a row being at top, it must feel really good, and they would hope that it can continue for as long as possible. The next game is Venezia versus Atalanta. I went for a 1-all draw. It ended being a 2-0 win for Atalanta. So I don't get any points in another game. It has been a really bad weekend for me. I think I just only have 4 points till now. So it is not looking really good. The thing is, Atalanta have really been quite inconsistent. If I'm being very honest with you, there are games where you would have expected them to win, but they would just go ahead and stumble and lose the points. And I thought coming back from the international break, going away at Venezia, this was the sort of the game that you would expect Atalanta to stumble and drop the points. But credit to them, they were really on form that day and they cruised past Venezia. They really did not give them any chance to come back in the game, and it was a really efficient performance by Atalanta, getting those 3 points. It was very important for them. They have now moved up to 6. They have been inconsistent, but they have been really close. That's what I keep on saying, that the points margin in Serie A is not that good, because a lot of the teams are not being consistent. One week they are very good, and the next week they are they stumble and they drop points, and that is why the teams are still within the touching distance of each other. They have moved up to 6, and they would be really happy about it. They are now getting closer to where people expected them to be. Venezia, on the other hand, unfortunately, they are still stuck at the 20th, at the bottom of the table, and now 8 games in, it is now starting to look really bad for them. They really need to do something. They really need to get the points if they don't want to get relegated. But at the moment, they are in a really serious situation and in big trouble. The next game was Lecce versus Fiorentina. I went for a 2-1 win for Fiorentina. I thought Lecce would, sort of offer some sort of resistance, but it was a completely different result. Fiorentina annihilated them 6-0. I mean, what a performance that was. They completely demolished Lecce. They did not let them even breathe for a second. Attack after attack, it was a relentless from Fiorentina, and I think they would be really happy to get those points. Their start was a bit, troublesome in the couple of early weeks, first 2-3 weeks of the season, but they have now really come up, and they are getting the wins. They are getting the points on the board, and they have moved up to 5th in the table, and they would be really happy with that performance. With how tight the league is, I keep on saying this, with how tight the league is, this goal difference is going to be really helpful for them, and they would be really happy that they are now 5th in the league. Lecce, on the other hand, I mean, it is not looking really good for them, is it? Drop down to 19th. After that, a defeat, winless in their last 5 games, the 3rd defeat in a row, worst goal difference in the entire league. They are in all sorts of trouble, and they really need to do something if they want to stay in the league, because at the moment it is disaster after disaster for Lecce, and they really need to do something and get a win or get a point somehow, because if this keeps continuing, I think relegation is it will become a reality for them quite quickly. The next game was Cagliari versus Torino, and I went for a 3-1 Torino win. I mean, nobody really expected anything apart from a Torino win, but everybody was wrong. Cagliari went ahead and they won the game 3-2, and it was an amazing performance by Cagliari. They have been really struggling this season. Torino have had a really good start to the season. They were at the top of the table for 1 week as well. They lost last weekend against Inter 3-2. It was a very close game, so people expected an easy win for them, but as I said, Cagliari had other things on mind. It was a really fun game to watch. Both teams really went for it, and I would really again give a credit to Cagliari, because as I said, nobody really expected them to do anything in this game, but they went toe to toe with Torino, and they made sure they got the win in the way that they played. It was their best performance of the season without any doubt. They really did not bow down, and sometimes teams who are in relegation places or who are the underdogs, the best way to, in my opinion, to play against a team who is expected to win from you is to not buckle under pressure and just go at and have a go at the opposing team, and that sometimes rattles that team. And I think that's what happened. Torino really did not expect Cagliari to come out in such a way, and I think that took them a bit, and I think that that's what affected the result. But in the end, a huge win for Cagliari, their first home win of the season, and that just shows you how a big of a win that was for them. They move up to a 15th. Torino, on the other hand, it's their third defeat in a row, and they have now dropped down to ninth in the league. And the difference between them and Cagliari is just 2 points. That just shows you how close the season, the league is going at the moment. From 9th to 15th, it's just a couple of points. One good win for Cagliari next week, and let's say Torino lose, and they will overtake them. That's how close it is going on. So it is really exciting in the Serie A at the moment. We'll see what happens for both of them next week. At the moment, Cagliari would be really happy. The next game was Inter versus Roma. I went for a 2-all draw because of how good both these teams have been. And they came in the game with a good forms, both of them. It ended up being a 1-0, a close win for Inter. So another game where I don't get any points. It has been a really disastrous weekend for me in Serie A. But coming back to the game, like, it was a really fun and entertaining game. It was a very close game, as I expected it to be. Both the teams really went at it. They created a lot of good chances, but both of them were not really able to convert it until Lautaro Martinez amazing strike. I mean, the captain leading from the front. And that that was a special goal as well. It otherwise I don't think any of the keepers was gonna get beat that day. And that was the only goal of the game. That just shows you how important close that game was. The chances were getting clear, but the goalkeepers were on a fine form, and they made sure that none of them conceded another goal. But as I said, a very close game, entertaining game. Inter in the end, thanks to their captain, they get those 3 points, important 3 points, and they remain second. They remain on the cocktails of Napoli. They know they cannot let Napoli get away from them. There's just a 2 point difference between them, so they know one bad result from Napoli side, and they can swoop back right in at the top of the table. Roma, on the other hand, they've now dropped to 10th. Roma have been quite inconsistent, I'll be very honest with you. They have a good run for 2-3 weeks, and then they have a dip, and that is affecting their performance. They have already sacked one manager, and the fans would hope that they don't go ahead and sack another one. I don't think Juric should be sacked. I think he should be given. I didn't think De Rossi should have been sacked, but they did. So as I said, it takes time. They have new players. I keep on saying for Roma that they signed a good amount of players, so they really need to give them time. But the talent that they have, I think they are going to be there and thereabouts. It is just they played against the Inter side. Like, it was going to be a very close game anyway. So they have dropped down to 10th, but they know the point difference. I keep on saying it is not that much. So dropping down to 10th or 11th is not going to be that much of a problem. You just need one good result, a couple of good results from your side and against an opposition side, and you would be right back into the mix. So that's what they would be thinking, and I think that's what the fans would be thinking, that just forget about this game and concentrate on the next weekend. And the last game of Serie A this weekend was Verona versus Monza. Another shocker of a result that came in this game. I went for a 1-0 win for Verona. I thought it was going to be a very close game, but it ended up being a 3-0 win for Monza. As I said, I thought it was going to be a very close game, but Verona being at home, they are going to nick it. But Monza had other ideas. I mean, it was a really good game. It was completely different than I thought it was. What it was going to be. Both teams really went for it. It was quite an interesting game of football. The chances created in that game were like so many. Both the teams really went for it. As I said, the difference I would say is that Monza converted their chances and Verona were not able to convert those chances. Even at being down at 1-0, they had 5 or 6 good chances where they could have easily equalized and even taken it, but they really did not convert them. And then when you do that, when you miss so many chances, you are gonna get punished, and that's what Monza did. They converted them. They scored the second goal. They scored the third goal, and it became very easy for them. After the second goal, I think that basically was a game done and dusted. A huge 3 points for Monza. Their first win of the season. That gets them out of the relegation zone up to 16. So they would be, on a cloud down 9 after that performance. Verona, on the other hand, it is now starting to become a bit, become a troubling. 4 defeats in their last 5 games. They have dropped down to 14th, and they know how quickly things can change, and they would hope that they can somehow get away from this bad luck, and they can get some points, so make sure that they don't get dragged down into this relegation battle. Bad day for Verona, but a great day for Monza. And with that, my predictions are completed. This has been a disastrous weekend for me. I'm not gonna lie. Just 8 points out of a possible 30 in the Serie A. like I did not even go into double digits. That's how bad it was. But results like Monza versus Verona, I mean, nobody saw that one coming. The game against Cagliari versus Torino, that was another shocker. So a couple of shock results that have really, screwed up my predictions. So, but the game's the game. What can I do about it? Let me know what you guys did, how many of your predictions came true, and how many of your predictions were wrong. Let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 400 subscribers before the month of October, and so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, bye bye.